This is an overview of how to complete your reporting using the Verdant Grantee Portal. So on the left-hand side of the screen, when you start from the home page, you're going to scroll through the menu bar until you find this Reports tab. This is where all of your reports will be stored. Your reports due, your reports to edit, and your submitted reports. So you're going to start with your reports due. This is where any reports that you need to complete will be stored, and you'll see the number of reports due in a little number to the right of that tab. So you're going to click on that, and all your reports due will be listed on the left-hand side of the screen. So there are 4 different reports. There is a Q1 report, a semi-annual report, a Q3 report, and an annual report. And then amongst that, there are 3 different report types. So you have your outcomes, your budget, and your demographics. Those are the 3 things that Verdant requires you to report on. However, for each of the reports, annual, semi-annual, quarterly, you won't be required to report on all 3. The only report that requires you to fill out all 3 report types is the annual report. So in the annual report, you will fill out an outcome report, a budget report, and a demographics report. Your quarterly reports only require you to fill out an outcome report, and then your semi-annual, you'll need to fill out an outcome and a budget report. So I'm going to click on this annual report here. This is the report that I'm going to be using as an example today because it has all 3 different report types. And click on the report that you are ready to complete. And you're going to click on it there, and then you'll see your report here. And then you're going to hit edit when you are ready to begin reporting. So you'll hit this edit button up in the top right-hand corner. So for the annual report, you'll see that all 3 of these will already be filled. This might not be the case for the other reports. For example, if you're doing the Q1 report, all of them will be empty, all 4 of these columns of boxes. Q2, these 3 will be empty, Q3, so on and so forth. You'll know which row you need to fill out by the note right here. So for example, in this report, it says for each of the outcomes below, click on the edit button and only fill out the Q4 field. So in this case, I'm going to fill out this column right here, but it'll tell you which of the 4 columns you need to fill out in that little sentence there in each of your reports. So the first step to this, so this is our outcome section, is we're going to indicate the starting date of the reporting period. So I'm just going to put in a date here. Okay. And then you'll start filling out the table. So to fill out the table, you're going to click the edit buttons on the side for each of the outcomes. The first one is the number of individuals served. I'll hit the edit button. I'm going to fill out my data for Q4. So I'm going to say over 50 participants, and then I'll hit the save button. Yep, make sure that's all correct. Hit the X. And then I'm going to do the same for this next one. These totals will, the data that you input will not show up until you hit save and continue. So I'll show you if I hit save and continue, the number will pop up right there. So I'm going to do the same for the other 2. Save. Same thing here. And then if I hit save and continue, those 2 numbers that I just inputted should pop up in the table right there. So you can see now this table is entirely filled. Again, for other reports, your table will not be entirely filled. You may have this column, this column, this column may be left blank, just depending on the report you're filling out. And again, it'll tell you right here which column you're filling in. Next, for the annual report, you're going to have some narrative questions. This will not be on any of the other 3 reports, just on the annual one. So you're just going to answer each of these questions. So once those are all filled in, I would hit save and continue because that will be the end of your outcomes section, and then you will move on to budget. So the budget section is a little tricky because your budgets table is not actually in this screen. So what you're going to do is you're going to hit save and close, and that will save all the work that you've inputted, but allow you to navigate the portal. And you're going to scroll down here, you're going to see this grantee budget section. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on grantee budget. And if you need to fill out a budget, again, the number will appear right there and you can click on it. Make sure it is the budget for the report that you are filling out. The name, the year, the start date, and end date will all be automatically pulled from your project info, so you will not need to do anything in that top box. You're going to be filling out the actual side of the budget table. So the budgeted will already be filled in. It will pull from your application, and you're just going to fill in the actuals. And then once that's fit in, you'll hit save and continue again just to save that information. And then you're going to have this optional comments box. And this is where you are going to, if you feel the need to include a line item breakdown for whichever one of these sections you feel you need to provide more information for. So in this case, I'm going to add a line item breakdown for personal expenses. So your line item breakdown could look something like this, or you can organize it however you see fit. And you will have one of those boxes for each of the different categories right here. However, that is a totally optional step. You do not need to do that portion of the budget if you don't feel like it's necessary. If you filled this part out on your application, we do recommend that you fill it out again for the budget report. But again, not mandatory. When you're finished with that, you're going to hit save and close. And you will see that your information was all saved in here. You can also see up there that the one update available means that one of your budgets was updated. You'll also notice at the table that this variance column was added. That is the difference between these two numbers. So when you are finished with that, you're going to go back to your reports due and go back into the report that you are filling out. And again, hit that edit button in the top right corner. And you can just skip through the outcomes because they should already still be filled in from when you saved and closed, and go down to this budget section and simply just confirm that you have updated the budgeting in the grantee budget portion of the application. If you forget where to go, there is a note right here that tells you where you go fill out your budget. And when that's done, hit save and continue just to save. I like to save after each section. I just think it helps you not lose information, and it keeps things organized. And next is the demographics portion of the report. This will only be required on your annual report. So first you're going to say the total number of participants. Say 200 there. And then for each category, you are going to split out by demographics. So like, for example, gender, let's say we got 50. females, 50 males, 50 transgender, and 50 unknown not tracked. For the unknown not tracked, that is if you forgot to track it or what you had is not listed. Let's say in this case, it was that we had 50 non-binary people. So in that case, I could make a note here. That is what this comments box is for, is just to make little notes on this information. So in this case, I'm going to say unknown equals uh, non-binary participants. So that is what that comments section is used for. That is completely optional. Most of these are going to be very self-explanatory, so the comments are not really going to be needed. But in a case like that, you might want to use it. You'll also notice here that your total for each section pops up underneath the section. So you can make sure it matches the number of participants that you recorded. So I'm going to do the same thing for age. I'm just going to say how many of each age group we had. Again, you'll see the number 200. That matches my total number of participants. Same thing, race and ethnicity. We're just going to do and you'll see that that total is automatically updating as I'm filling out, which is helpful if you're trying to keep track of all your numbers and you can see that something's wrong right away. So I can keep doing that. And in this case, I'm going to say that the unknown was actually just unknown. So I'm just going to leave that as is. It was a not tracked unknown number. And you can see the participants is 200 again. Same thing, health insurance status. We're just going to say how many for each one. Make sure that number matches. I'd recommend about halfway through this hitting save and continue, just hitting it periodically just to save information so you don't have to fill it out all over again if the computer does something funny. Primary language. This one is unique. So this one, you are going to have this other primary languages portion. So once you are finished filling out this part, you're going to be able to add other primary languages. So I'm going to hit this plus icon here, and let's say I want to add that I had 40 Japanese speakers. So I can say put in the other primary language, I will put in Japanese, and I will say I have 40, and then I will hit save. And you'll see that that number appeared right here. So unlike the other sections, the primary language section will not automatically add. You will have to hit save and continue to see the total. This is just because of how the Grantee portal works with this section right here being able to add other languages. So I'll hit save and continue. And that total has now appeared. Same thing here. Total percent of Snohomish County HUD income limits. Check the total. Participants by zip code. And when you get to the bottom, you can hit Save and Close. And all that information that you just inputted will be shown in a table format where you can see the percentages of each one. So I can see that 25% of my participants were female, 25% were male, 25% were transgender, and 25% were unknown, not tracked. And it will do that for every portion of the demographics report. If all this information looks correct, if all of the reports look correct, you can hit Submit. And that is your Grantee Portal Reports Guide.